Everyone, it's me again, and this is a quick Bible study about submission. I know this is a big topic in the Christian community, and even unbelievers, when they hear this, they get offended. They say the Bible's outdated. People don't know what it means, so this is a very controversial topic. Once again, I wanted to do a quick Bible study on something that is controversial, and it's Ephesians 5:22 to 33. So let's just get right into it. It says, "Wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord, where the husband is the head of the wife, as also Christ is the head of the church, and he is the Savior of the body. Therefore, just as the church is subject to Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for her, that he might sanctify and cleanse her with the washing of water by the word, that he might present her to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkles or any such thing, but that she should be holy and without blemish. So husbands ought to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself, for no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as the Lord does the church. For we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. This is a great mystery, but I speak concerning Christ and the church. Nevertheless, let each one of you, in particular, so love his own wife as himself, and let the wife see that she respects her husband." So this is about way more than just submission. Some people hear that, they get offended. They think it's saying that wives can have opinions. They're supposed to be maids or slaves to their husbands. It's not saying that at all. It's about a husband being a leader. And this is also about a wife voluntarily letting her husband lead. And it also talks about men loving selflessly and sacrificial love. Self-sacrificial love is when, um, as you see the comparison between what Christ did and husbands. So people are so stuck on the submission part that they don't even see what it says about husbands. And it says a whole lot when it comes to family and marriage and husbands, but people are so stuck on submission. It's simply about letting the husband be a leader. And I also just want to say this. I don't know why some men who aren't married talk about, or are even Christians talk about women submitting. A woman doesn't need to submit to you. This is about husbands and wives, and this is about a man leading in a marriage. This is not for you if you are not married, or men saying that women need to submit to them. They don't. Okay, that doesn't apply to you. So here's what it says. Let's go up. Okay, 5:21-22. Verse 21 completes the thought of the previous verses, which address how being filled with the Spirit manifests itself in the believer's life. It also introduces the next section about how members of a Christian family should relate to each other. Submitting, the Greek word for submitting, does not refer to the absolute control of another, but voluntarily placing oneself under the authority of another. Just as Christ is not inferior to the Father, but is the second person in the Trinity. So wives are equal to their husbands. And equal doesn't mean the same. When I say that, people get offended. They're like, we are not equal. Yes, we are. We are all equal, but different. So, read that again. Just as Christ is not inferior to the Father, but is the second person in the Trinity. So wives are equal to their own husbands. Yet in a marriage relationship, a husband and wife have different roles. The Lord, a wife's voluntary submission arises out of her own submission to Christ. Husbands love. Paul does not emphasize the husband's authority or leadership. Instead, he calls on husbands to love. Self-sacrificially, husbands are to emulate Christ's love, the kind of love that is willing to lay down one's life for another person and serve that person, even if it means suffering. In these verses, Paul briefly outlines what Jesus has done for the church. First of all, he loved the church so much that he was willing to suffer and die for it. His actions not only saved the church, they sanctified it. In other words, Jesus wanted to develop the church into what it should be, the holy temple of God. A husband who realizes that his wife is truly his own flesh will treat her with love and care. The two shall become one flesh. Paul quotes Genesis 2:24, which teaches that the special union between husband and wife supersedes the original family ties. The mystery, a sacred secret revealed, is that Christian marriage parallels the union that exists spiritually between Christ and his bride, the church. So, I just want to go over that very quickly. People are so stuck on one part, they don't realize that this is talking about marriage, period, not just women. This isn't saying that women are inferior to men, that women are less than. It is not saying any of that at all, okay? So anyone who gets offended or doesn't like the topic because it offends them, it is about leadership. That is all. Not inequality, not someone being better or have more value. It is not that at all, okay? It is about, again, I'm going to say it again, because I cannot say this enough. It is about leadership, nothing to be offended over. And also, if you're going to talk about submission, talk about husbands. Talk about what it says with husbands, because it has plenty to say about that as well. And thank you so much for watching this video. And I just, again, want to do a quick Bible study on this topic because it is so controversial. Thank you for watching, and God bless.